Welcome to video number 3, packing the system. The first thing you're going to want to do is set the distance of your hook. So lay out the lead or anchor end of your system. You want to come to the base of the flash and make sure that the barrels of that scaffold knot are flush with the base of the hook. And you want to keep it in that orientation or position as you flip the hook over, okay? So you don't want the barrel knot, the scaffold knot to flip over as well. You want to keep these flush with the base of the hook. This is set up properly when you got about 1 inch to 1.5 inches from the top of the flash to the top of the F4. Once you got that sized properly, take the anchor and lead end of your system and set it aside and come to the terminal end. You can start here if you want. You can remember make sure that the gate is in the open position, back seated on that storage pin, but you're going to double check this at the very end anyway. Run the rope out, and when you get 6 feet away from that carabiner, you're going to see a black line. That's the indicator line for that last 6 feet of your rope, and that's what you're going to start putting in the bag first. Now, if you look at the internal compartments, with the flap side, the 2 pouches for the hook, you have that flap. This is the main pocket for most of your rope. There's going to be 34 feet of rope in this main pocket. This secondary pocket, you're going to have the last 6 feet of your rope, okay? And that's where you're going to start. When the rope is coming out to that last 6 feet, it's going to be coming up this bag and then back into this pouch, or outside this pocket into this one. That's where this black line needs to be positioned, right at the top opening of that. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like on the outside because you're not going to see it on the inside. As the rope comes out, you're gonna go up and down with it. You're going to create a bite of the rope, and you're going to want to make sure that this bottom bite or bend is right at the bottom of the bag. As you come back up though, this top bite or bend needs to stay down from the top of the mouth of the bag about 1 inch. And you're just going to continue to make bends in the rope going down and up, okay? Keeping the top 1 inch down, bringing the bottom all the way to the seam of the bag. Keep working yourself back and forth. And you're going to take time doing this. If you do that, if you take the extra time, this is going to keep the whole system a lot more compact, okay? It's not going to feel as bulky. Now, when you're coming back up, okay, you're going to come back out of the bag. This is what that auxiliary carabiner is going to look like, okay? The gate's going to be facing toward the outside edge, and then you're going to have this bend in the rope coming up. All right, I'm just going to start the process, and then I'll show you on this last 6 feet finished. So there's that black indicator line coming inside. Bring that first bite or bend all the way to the bottom of the bag, and then bring the second one up and stop about 1 inch short. And what you can do, a little trick here, is to kind of use this hand to hold and keep the rope nice and compact, keeping everything squeezed together so you can get some nice stacked folds or bends in the rope as you're packing it. Okay, I'm at the end now, that last 6 feet. This is what those top loops should look like. Again, about a 1 inch, just 1 inch shy of the top of the opening of the bag. Just going to flip this carabiner over. The twist lock needs to be on the outside edge, as well as that bend in the rope coming out of that auxiliary carabiner. Slide it in, just like so. So now your last 6 feet is packed. Now you're going to stuff the main pouch of the bag with the remaining 34 feet. When I'm packing the main body of rope, that first 34 feet, I find it just a lot easier to take the bag and just put it right in your lap. I'll put the side with the last 6 feet on my left, and what would be the hook side on my right. I'm going to open that flap all the way up. Now there's a difference between how you stuff the last 6 feet and how you stuff the main or first 34 feet. Instead of going up and down, you're going to go back and forth. To give you a perspective of that, or a better visual of that, I'm going to show you what it looks like on the outside of the bag, just like I did with that last 6 feet, because you're not going to see it very well on the inside. Here's kind of a key element. as the rope's coming up to that last 6 feet, to that black indicator line, as you see right here, I want to keep that rope. You're going to feel a seam right here for the spine of the hook pouch. You want to keep this rope coming up about 2 to 3 inches away from this edge, okay? And I'll explain that at the end. And when you're packing this rope, the main body, that first 34 feet, you're going to go edge to edge. So you're just going to be making your bites and stuffing this rope in, going back and forth. And as you're doing that, as you're laying rope in, there's no real fancy or specific way to do this. It's just like you're doing a regular rope bag, stuffing rope in. It's just that you want to go edge to edge. Again, the more time that you do this and you pack it, it's gonna store in the bag a lot more neatly. Okay, and you're only really doing this typically, once every 6 months. So I'm going to go back and forth. Okay, and I'm only going to do a few more of these to keep this video somewhat short. As you see that as I'm stuffing in, what I want you to look at here is that I am keeping all of these sections of rope, this portion as I'm stuffing it in. I want to keep it to this side of this line coming up to that last 6 feet. I don't want to be stuffing anything in where I'm twisting the ropes up, okay? This rope will always be near that middle flap, okay, the one going to the last 6 feet. And you'll get a better visual of that at the end. But again, that's what I'm doing. I'm just going back and forth, stuffing the rope in. Okay, I'm about 3/4 of the way done. And what I want to show you is just a close-up of that line coming out of the bottom of the bag going up to that last 6 feet. If you can look inside here and you see it, again, I have it at about, well, in this case, about 2.5, 3 inches away from the edge. And all these folds, as I'm stuffing the rope inside the bag, are kept on this side of that line coming up to that last 6 feet. That's what you're looking to do. You don't want to wrap this up and entangle it. Okay, we're at the end, last 3 feet of our system. At this point, you're gonna store the hook. And so I like to just kind of rotate the bag over, lay it flat so the pouches for the hook are up. You're gonna take the rope that's leading to the F4 and you're gonna run it along the spine of the hook. Make sure that barrel knot, okay, looking down on it, stays in line. You don't want it to fold over like so, one way or the other, okay? You want the barrels of the scaffold knot resting right on that bottom flange of the hook. So run this tight. Take that tail coming out of the opposite side of the scaffold knot and then kind of compress everything together, trying to make this profile as narrow as possible because this opening is tight. I'm going to forewarn you, okay? And it's designed to be that way. Get it started. Okay, make sure you capture the point in that second pouch. I want to kind of compress everything, make sure it's nice and flat. And then you're going to finish stuffing the remaining portion of the rope. So you get as much of the rope underneath this flap as possible. You just want the DCD resting on this. Again, compress it down. We're kind of at that point now. When you're putting the DCD on that top flap, you don't have to be really particular with it, but I'm just going to tell you, we found that it seems to sit inside the bag and inside your pants pocket best if you take that bottom portion or flange of the F4 and face it toward the flash and have the release lever right in the middle. And the carabiner is just going to fold over the top like this. All right, so looking at the system from kind of a side profile, the highest portion of your hardware should be the top of the flash. So when you open up the flap of your pants pocket, you reach in, you should be, the first thing you should be able to grab is the top of the flash. And then remember, I talked about this earlier, but I want that bite or that bend that's coming off the auxiliary anchor, I want that toward the back. So these are completely segregated. The reality is you're gonna, before you deploy this, the flash will be out of your pocket already. But you don't want to have any tendency to grab this before you grab that. And that's why we kind of separate them. You can kind of see they're on opposite ends of the bag, okay? Again, you're gonna compress the system, push everything down to get it situated where you want. So that's it. That's pretty much the storage. That's what it looks like. In video number 4, we're gonna go through the belt and harness options and how to rig them inside the belt loops of your turnout pants, as well as what the storage of the bag is gonna look like inside the pocket and the 2 options you have for setup. Again, independent or not pre-connected, or pre-connecting your system to your belt or harness. That's gonna be in video 4.